Jessica, and my neighbor that lives right here, his wife's name is Jessica. He's my business partner in my gym, by the way, also. And then my neighbor that lives just on that side of me, her name is Jessica. We got 3 in a row, dude.
It's the 90s curse. We all
Oh,
the same.
yeah, dude.
And that's why I go by Klep, because there's a million Michaels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, Danny. Really appreciate it. I'm very looking forward to talking about your coffee, first of all.
Oh, sweet.
So I actually ordered it when I first kind of jumped into CrossFit in 2017 because it just made me feel like a CrossFitter.
Yeah.
I was like, now I'm a real CrossFitter. Like, it doesn't matter that I can't do anything and I'm ridiculously out of shape. I drink this coffee.
It's like buying nanos.
Yeah, and it made, now I feel like I'm in the presence of a celebrity. So it has come full circle.
Awesome. Yeah. Did you like it? That's what I really care about.
Yeah, I did actually.
Right. Okay, good.
I had gotten an espresso maker as a kind of moving away gift.
Yep.
Because I had just moved, graduated college, and my parents were like, "Do you need money? Here's an espresso maker." And I was like, "Great, thanks." So I started like grinding my own coffee, which did definitely change the way I think about coffee. Like,
yeah, that's the biggest thing.
You know, I do go through Dunkin'. I'm not gonna lie,
Sure.
but it's very like watery and it is not that same caffeine kick. It is not.
Yeah.
Because I will say Caffeine and Kilos was like, oh boy, I felt good.
Yeah, man, I like feeling good. It's perfect.
So yeah, we have Danny from Caffeine and Kilos. We never actually said that.
Best intro yet, though. Actually, talk about the coffee more.
So we kind of went on a little break on our podcast, and then just as we did our first episode, you dropped in our DMs and asked if we were still doing it, and we are. Yeah, so it was like perfect timing.
Yeah, dude. Awesome.
So I had seen the company like through like Instagram ads and stuff like that, and people wearing swag in our gym, but I never had really like looked into it until you had like dropped into our DMs. And I mean, I should have. I like coffee and I like lifting weights, so it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's made for you.
But then I started digging deeper to prepare for this, and I just want to say, out of all the stuff that I was listening to, it convinced me immediately on the spot to subscribe to the coffee club. And the reason for that is, as I was listening, I was just hearing all of the stuff that you do as a company to give back to the community, whether it be in weightlifting, in CrossFit, and that it was just too awesome to me, like especially with weightlift. So I kind of gathered. Tell me if this is true. If you had to pick which one yours is your favorite, is it weightlifting?
Oh man, that's hard. I don't know, man. It's like so I started in CrossFit before I competed in weightlifting, really got into weightlifting. But what's also true is like I knew the weightlifting movements before I started CrossFit, right? So I don't know, man. I don't know. Also, I have a gym that we do CrossFit. We have an affiliate, but then we also have a barbell club out of there. Although right now, to truth be told, we have more people competing in powerlifting meets than we do weightlifting meets.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Man, if I had to pick, I'm going to tell you, dude, I think CrossFit would be my first love over weightlifting.
Oh, man. So
I know.
I'm a weightlifter at heart, but I do I am working on getting fast, but I start to lose a little strength, and I go, oh, maybe I should just, pull back the reins a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, kind of depends though. Like, I've had experiences. Okay, so I'm pretty much I understand. Like, I'm not going to PR my weightlifting lifts again, unless I just like completely commit to that for another couple years. And I don't think I'm going to do that. Like, I got kids and stuff.
You have a
So
real life now.
I have a real life now. Yeah. I did then too. But at least kind of ignore some things sometimes. Like, priorities are different, we'll say, right? But I have had the experience of like doing CrossFit classes at the gym. And like, when I say doing classes, I'm talking like I do like 2 to 3 a week, right? It's not like I'm in there every single day or anything. And whatever, it'll be we'll have a clean and jerk day or something, and I'll hit like 90% of my maxes, right? Or whatever, even like on like snatch, like I'll snatch like whatever 80 to 85% of what my best snatch ever was. And so I'm like, you know what? Like, all things considered, I think I'll take 80% of what my maxes were in order to, like, not feel like dog shit every day.
It's actually just the coffee that's doing it.
It could be it's doing the heavy lifting for me. Yeah.
It's not the dedication or showing up at class or eating right or sleeping. It's straight up caffeine all the time.
It's funny. It's like, this sounds like a CrossFit commercial now, but I'd say that's actually like something that really does speak towards CrossFit and like what it does for you. Like, I had not been, okay, here's another thing is like, so I was competing in weightlifting, and then in like 2015, I stopped. And then in 2019, someone talked me into doing like this Masters World Cup. They're like, hey, you like weightlifting master, you're 35 now. I had zero intentions of like ever competing again, or especially doing Masters meets. Like, I just didn't care. And he's like, oh man, you should do it because you're 35 and Masters World Cup's in San Diego. Like, it's so close. I was like, man, California's a big state. It's not really that close. Like, I gotta fly, or it's a 10-hour drive, and he's like, well, yeah, but normally it's in Germany or some shit. All right, well, I'll do it. Like, it'll be fun. Like, okay, I'll do this one, and then I'll decide if I care and if I want to keep doing Masters meets, or if I'm just like actually done or whatever. And so I trained 20 weeks leading up to it. So like 8-week cycle, and then did a local meet, and then I did this 12-week training block, and then went and did the Masters World Cup, whatever. Because I did a local meet to get a qualifying total. And the thing is that I didn't like light the place on fire as far as like compared to my old numbers or whatever, but like they weren't that far off. They were like 80 to 85% of what my best was when I was training, between 6 and 9 sessions a week for 4 or 5 years. And so I'm like, okay, well, this actually, again, like, so for this period of whatever, 4 or 5 years, I was doing CrossFit like 2 to 3 times a week, and maintained, 80 to 85% of my lifts. Like, that's like pretty good,
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like CrossFit has a little bit of that like magic potion of just enough of everything to keep you well-rounded, and to keep like you said, you're not going to hit a peak of like any one skill, but at the end of the day, like, I'm like, by trade, I'm an occupational therapist. I work with kids. Like, at the end of the day, I really need to be able to haul about 80 pounds. But I need to be able to sprint to catch that 80 pounds. Like, right. Like, if I can lift 200 pounds, who cares if I can't catch the 80-pound kid that's running away? And I think that's like kind of where CrossFit shines a little bit, is keeping that well-roundedness.
Sure. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. We can talk. If I wanted to just sign up for like a little fun run and go do whatever, like a 5K or a 10K, like I could do that tomorrow. But also I can still squat double body weight, right? Like, that's nice. Like, I like that. So
I do have a question for you. How did so for the like our listeners who did not do a ton of research on you prior to coming onto the podcast, how did Caffeine and Kilos conceptualize, and how did you get it to align so well within the fitness community? Like, we all drink coffee, like, yes, but like, there is no other brand that I'm like, coffee and exercise, these things. Like, how did that come to fruition?
Well, it was an accident, right? Like all good things. So we're just gonna host a meet. Like, we just wanted to host a weightlifting meet. A friend of mine who also owns an affiliate, he's called me and he's like, hey dude, like, basically want to host this big weightlifting meet. And at the time I was competing for Cal Strength, so I was relatively tied in the weightlifting community. And I was like, all right, like, we can do this thing, but you want to get the best lifters in the country. All right, let's, we need a cash prize, and we need audience, right? Because at this point, there's like no one's really going to nationals to watch any national level meets. There's like no money in the sport. No one's really giving away big cash prizes. And I said, okay, let's like He's like, all right, no problem. Like, he has some connections, so we'll get a sponsor and sponsor the cash prize, and then we decided we'll do a local CrossFit style competition during the day. So that'll be like a crowd for him to lift in front of, and we can use the money from that CrossFit competition to pay for the venue and just kind of like put these pieces together. And it was great. Sounded like a great idea. And so we start kind of like pursuing this. And then he also, that guy, Charlie, he had a friend, Dean, who had a streetwear brand who was doing CrossFit competitions and that type of thing, went to his gym. And anyway, starts talking to him about like apparel and stuff, and it all comes together. And then the thing that kind of tied it all together is he just did a post on Facebook just kind of screwing around that just said, like, my life. And it had a coffee mug and a guy lifting weights. And he's like, hey, I'm going to make one of these just for myself. If anybody else wants one, like, let me know. And there's this overwhelming response. And so we're all talking about this. Like, man, like, people love this idea of, like, lifting weights and drinking coffee. And that's all we do. That's what we're talking about. Like, we just like to hang out and drink coffee and lift weights. And I guess we're not the only ones. And so then he talked to Dean, and Dean kind of did some designs for it and made this cool looking design for it. And so there were almost like two separate ideas. We got this competition going, and we got this, like, Caffeine and Kilos thing. And it's kind of funny. I'm sitting there, and I had written out the workouts for the event, and I'm like, man, what are we going to call this thing? Like, what are we going to call this competition? And I just kept thinking, like, Caffeine and Kilos, because that's what, like, the design on the shirt said. And I was like, man, that's it. Like, they're not two separate ideas. It's the same idea, And as I'm looking at my phone, like, looking at the workout, saying, like, it's the same idea, like, boom, his name pops up. It's ringing. So I answer it. I'm like, Charlie, I got it. I got the name of the event. He goes, yeah, dude, we're going to call it Caffeine and Kilos.
That's
and I was
awesome.
like, that's it. Like, I was thinking that exact, like, I had that epiphany, like, right when he was calling, I was like, dude, if that's not a sign or whatever, like, I don't know what is. And so this is like in June-ish or so, and the meet was going to be in September. And so it's okay. Well, Caffeine and Kilos, we're going to have these shirts and sell these shirts. We should probably sell coffee too, like, do the whole thing. And so we started calling local roasters and then found a guy in Sacramento, which is kind of where we're based out of, right by there. And he was pumped about the idea of, like, making a coffee that still tastes really good, that has maybe some extra caffeine, but just all natural, just the way the beans are blended and roasted and all that. And so we went out there and met up with them. And it's funny, I had a newborn baby at the time. Like, she was born in February, and this is June, so whatever, she's 4 months old. And my wife is the nurse. She was working anyway, and so I'm, like, hauling this 4 or 5 month old baby around to, like, meet the coffee roaster. I go out there and so just different things like that. Or when you go talk to this accountant, whatever. So, like, taking the stroller out to meet the accountant. And so just me and Charlie and Dean, these 3 guys, we were whatever in our 20s. 3 bros in our 20s who doing CrossFit and competing in weightlifting, and then we're taking around this 4-month-old baby to all these business meetings. And
hey, so, there's not many jobs you can do that in, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I tell you what, as I posted this the other day, man, that's a pro tip. If you want to start a business, you need to have a baby, because talk about an icebreaker. You know what I mean? You walk in, you got like a 4-month-old, like, everyone starts smiling, they want to touch the thing. It's like it's this whole
all the guards are down.
Lightens the mood, lightens the mood.
I need a loan. Here's my infant. Are you guys into the infant?
Exactly. They don't even care that we're wearing gym shorts and tank tops. It's like, it's all good.
So my wife, when she found out that I was talking to you, told me that I had to tell you that she makes fun of me for drinking hot coffee while we work out in the hot summer. And I told her, if anyone's going to defend me, it would be you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll defend you on that, man. I think you got to drink your coffee however you want it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not up to anybody to tell you. Same thing, dude. If you're out in the snow drinking iced coffee, I got your back there too.
All right.
Me and Catherine see eye to eye on that one. I can do hot coffee on like a very blustery winter day when I don't have anywhere to go, and I can sit at the table and, like, watch the steam and watch the snow blow, and, like, maybe I'm on winter break. But the rest of the time it is iced coffee. I don't care where I have to go in the temperature. It is iced coffee. Sometimes I'll throw a little bit of a protein shake in it and call it a day.
Yeah, dude, I do it all. It's funny. That's the thing. Like iced coffee, hot coffee. Like, man, I drink it all. Doesn't matter.
Caffeine is
Depends on.
caffeine.
Yeah.
So do you not use
Setting.
pre-workouts? Is it just coffee? Because that's pretty much what it is for me.
Pretty much. Pretty much. We actually have. It's called Clearly Caffeine, and it's a caffeine only pre-workout. And
That's cool.
we made that. Yeah, because of this thing where a lot of people had people saying like, oh man, like I just don't drink coffee, whatever. I don't really like the taste of coffee, which like kind of confuses me, but whatever. And like, man, I wish there was a pre-workout or something. Anyway, something people are asking for a lot, or just kind of like bringing up. And we're like, well, you know what? It's true. Like, there's all these pre-workouts and energy drinks that have a bunch of stuff in it that maybe I don't want to take. Like, I just want caffeine. But pills sometimes is kind of weird. So anyways, we just made it's just caffeine and natural flavors. And we have a watermelon flavor, which is really good. Tastes like Jolly Ranchers. And then a vanilla. And the vanilla we actually made as like a plain one so people could mix it in smoothies or whatever like wouldn't conflict with anything. And then it ended up being really good. Like I actually like the vanilla one maybe better than the watermelon one. Like,
oh, that's a cool idea. I like that.
So a lot of times in the mornings, like I'll have a cup or two of coffee when I first get up, but then I don't go to on the days I go to the gym, it's like 4 hours after I wake up before I go anyway. So sometimes on the drive there, I'll just grab some of that, or I'll mix some of the vanilla Clearly Caffeine in with some electrolytes or something like that and drink that on the drive to the gym.
Sure.
But like your standard pre-workouts, I don't really. So one more thing about that is, so a good friend of mine, Corey G Fitness, he has this supplement company, Max Effort Muscle, and Max Effort has like their supplements are great, like they taste good, they're super clean, like they're like top notch, right? And so, but he works out at 4 a.m. And so if I'm in Ohio, I got to go meet up with Corey and I got to go work out at 4 a.m. with him because like that's what you do, right? Like he's there every morning at 4 a.m. And so it's like you got to go see him and do this thing. And they train. It's great, dude. The guy looks like a bodybuilder, like a lean, like not like all crazy G-stab, like a lean like bodybuilder guy, but he's trained like a power lifter. These guys are out there doing front squats with bands and like all this crazy shit. So I go out there at 4 a.m. and he's sitting there and you like take dry scoops, like was pre-workout. I'm like, well, I'm out here with Corey. Let's do it. Like, hit me, thinking like I got a pretty good caffeine tolerance. I'll be all right. So I do. And then, I'm like waiting for him to tell me what to do. Cause I'm out there at his place. I'm going to work out with him. Like whatever he's doing, I'm doing,
Right.
And, anyway, he's just like really taking his time, like getting things ready to go. All of a sudden, like, boom, it got real foggy in there. I'm looking around and I'm like, dude, I either need to like start moving right now and distract myself or go outside because like I felt like I was going to pass out. And so I'm like, hey, how we gonna start warming up? What are we doing? He's like, oh, okay. Like starts like sending me off. Like I gotta get distracted and like start like getting some blood flow going. Or
you're like warming up with your 1 rep max. You're like, all right.
Yeah. I was just thinking things a little foggy. I was like, anyway. At first I didn't know what was up. I'm like, why is it so foggy in here? And I was like, oh shit, because I'm about to go down.
Oh yeah.
But I was fine. Started warming up. I was fine. Ended up looking, but whatever. So yeah, man, that's one reason why you got to stick to caffeine, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll second that. I've done pre-workout. I've taken some pre-workouts that afterwards I was like, oh, that was not a great choice.
Yeah. Well, also it's time and like place, right? So when I was competing in weightlifting, out at Cal Strength, and it was like max out Fridays or like fucking max out Friday, right? And like, I had my coach one point, I was pushing my squat and I like missed the squat, the PR for a couple weeks in a row. And he just looked at me and he was like, Danny, I don't care. Like next week you're making this. I don't care how much caffeine you need to put in your body. I don't care what it takes. I don't care how tight we have to wrap your knees. Like next week you're making this fucking lift. And so it's like that's how it is out there. So anyway, oftentimes Friday night training would be like I pick up like two monsters, and like you drink one before snatch and then one, before clean and jerk, like 2 of them within an hour and a half. And it's Friday night, it's like 7 o'clock. Anyway, then I would drive home and then just like lay in bed and stare at the ceiling for like 5 hours. But hey man, like made some big lifts that night, like that's all that mattered at that time in my life. That was the most important thing, right? Was like
Right.
doing the best I can for that, and then what tomorrow brings, I'll deal with tomorrow.
Deal with that
Yeah.
later.
That's tomorrow Danny's problem. Tonight Danny's problem is making this fucking lift, right?
I have to say, I do love that energy. Like the idea of like we're just doing it and it's not a choice. Like you're not going to be weak today. You're going to be strong. And like if you don't feel that way, too bad for you, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, we're just going to do it anyway. Yeah.
I do have another question for you, and it is like I kind of shifting gears a little bit, I guess. But I was going through like your list of, first of all, it's a very impressive list of like sponsored athletes.
Sure.
China Cho, I really enjoy. Really like her. But of course, like Noah Olson, how have you connected with these athletes? Like through, have they reached, like, how does that happen? How does like a sponsorship kind of, how do you decide this is somebody I want to align my brand with? Because I think we see athletes all the time, like, okay, Noble, because they sponsor the CrossFit Games. Like if you do CrossFit, you get a sponsorship kind of situation. But like you guys can do what you want. You're a private company.
Yeah. So all of our athletes, except for a very small few, were relationships we had before we sponsored them as athletes. So Noah Olson's an interesting example. So back in the day, there was this protein company called Progenics that was really popular in CrossFit. Right?
I remember that.
I know they're still in business, but they were like biggest sponsor of the game, like the official protein of the game stuff. So anyway, one of my original partners in Caffeine and Kilos, who's no longer with the company, but Charlie, he had some connections with Progenics, and so he was kind of like sponsored by Progenics. Noah was sponsored by Progenics, but this is before Noah had ever gone to the CrossFit Games. I think he was just like regional competitor. Anyway, so that's how we kind of knew him. We go out there for Wadapalooza, and this was again between his regionals appearance, but before he qualified. He went to the games that year, but he hadn't yet qualified for that. So anyway, out in Miami, and Dean and Charlie are out there, and they just hit him up. Hey man, what's up? Like, can we, like, let's hang out, let's meet up. And so then they just kind of met up in person. You kind of showed them around Miami a little bit, and all that, and then just really became friends with them, right? And so then we're friends and we're just talking about stuff, and then as opportunities came up, so I go, hey man, like, let's just do some things. So that's how we kind of started sponsoring and picked him up that way. Since then, he's been picked up by some really big name sponsors and people that, frankly, would just pay way more than us. That's fine, but we've still remained friends. We found other ways to work together, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, we'll do a collaborative coffee blend, right? And so Happy But Hungry is his thing. So did Happy But Thirsty coffee blend. And so that way we could still kind of work together and still promote him. And he likes it because he likes he wears our stuff all the time still. But now, even if he has an apparel sponsor, if he's doing a coffee with us, then it's all good because, we're not his apparel sponsor. We have a collaborative coffee blend, right? And so you can kind of find some ways to still work with people if you have those good relationships. China, so that's kind of how it goes with most of the people out here, right? So like China Cho and her husband Freddie Camacho, like we're kind of they're out in the Bay Area, like an hour from us, whatever. So I've known Freddie for a long time because, again, from owning affiliate, he had a gym out in San Jose area. I ran into him at local competitions out there and, like level 1 search and stuff like that. And so you just kind of know these people from being in the community. And real quick, a little aside, earlier you mentioned like how is it that Caffeine and Kilos kind of speaks to the athletes so much and puts together that coffee and the weightlifting and it's all organic. And it's because one thing I meant to say is that the truth is like we are the market, right? Like we're not just some company that's trying to sell, let's go sell stuff to these CrossFitters or those weightlifters or whatever, right? Like I've had a CrossFit affiliate since 2008. Again, one of my co-founders, I think his started in like 2012 or something like that, or 2011. Anyway, and like Dean lifted at the national weightlifting meet, and so like I lifted at a national level for a couple years, and so it's this whole, we are the market, right? So we make stuff that we like, and that's really kind of what it comes down to, like the stuff that we actually know we would use, the stuff we actually like, and all that. And so that's why I think it resonates so well with everyone, is because it's not this contrived thing,
That's one thing I have to say about your like apparel is like, I feel like it just looks like stuff I want to wear, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, that was kind of the whole thing about we still stick to this. We talk about it a lot. It's our whole thing is things that you can wear in the gym or out of the gym, right? Like, I want you to be able to go work out in that shirt, but then I also want you to be able to wear it to your niece's birthday party, right? Or like out to lunch and not be weird. And when we
Yeah.
first started in 2013, there's like these apparel companies who made all these shirts like, if you like my whatever grandma's cookies, you should see her snatch or something.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're like all these like, you know, entendres and stuff, and whatever. Like they could be kind of fun to wear maybe to the gym, or but then like you're gonna wear that out to lunch, or you're gonna wear that to like, you know, like that's just not really a thing. That's so really our apparel is basically more of like you take designs like you would see in streetwear, then you put them on shirts that are cut and cut for athlete build, and also like breathable material, and they're not 100% cotton. They're a 60-40 blend, and so they breathe better, and they're not so heavy, and they, you know, it's like, so you take the designs and you put them on something that someone who's working out actually wants to wear, right? So you can wear them to the gym, you can wear them around town. That's kind of everything we kind of make, or we keep that in mind with everything we make and every product we do. It's like, all right, is this something that kind of makes sense in and out of the gym, right?
And that was like
kind of
really
that way.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was like really innovative too, which I think like people who are coming into the CrossFit scene now, like there is a little bit more, and especially like I will just say the 2020s during COVID, post-COVID, athleisure became like the norm, like the standard. Sure. But like I like to call them the Panda Express days of CrossFit, like. Yep. When like the games were like you were chugging beers during the CrossFit games in Ranch, and it was sponsored by Panda Express, and like the women's 1 rep max snatch I think was like 100 pounds or something. But everything was like neon, high colored socks, like bright, and really in your face. There really wasn't like athletic wear outside of maybe like Lululemon leggings that was versatile, and even that was like. My first pair of like actual CrossFit outfit was like a pair of like booty shorts from Reebok, and that was like the first time I had ever worn anything like that, and I was like, this is wild. I was like, I can't wear these in public. So I think for people who are kind of newer to CrossFit, like if you go back and like watch old video of CrossFit at local affiliates, it did not look like athleisure. Like it was, you definitely couldn't wear it to your niece's birthday party. Like those short, I was like, I would like hide them when I went to, like when my parents would come visit. I was like, you don't need to see these. This is part of my life you don't need to know about.
Yeah. So that's something that we're really proud of. And then back to the athletes thing real quick. I know I kind of jumped off there, but just like a few more examples, kind of fun, is it goes back to the same thing. These are all people we knew and had relationships with before. Like Carrie Pierce, the same thing. She actually, when she was going to the games, it wasn't, you know, like multiple times games competitor. She was sponsored by Fit Aid, and she was like working at the Fit Aid booth, you know, at a few different events. And so we're friends with Fit Aid, Aaron and Orion, the owners there, we know pretty well. Anyway, so just hanging out at their booth, and I meet her there and type thing. And then we just kind of kept communicating, whatever. And now she like continued just to absolutely crush it. Like, well, this obviously is something and she loved the coffee, and she loved the brand, she loved the stuff. And so it just made sense. And like on the weightlifting side of things, like Wes Kitts, who just went to the Olympics, like he lifts for Cal Strength. Like, man, once you lift for Cal Strength once a Cal Strength soldier, dude, you're just in for life. It's like a club. It's like a mafia thing almost, right? Anyway, so Wes out there, so I'd go out there, you know, hey, like hang out with him, and like go again, like on a Friday night, just to go lift just for shit. And he'd be like, "Nah, man, like we're sharing a bar. Like make me share a bar with him and stuff." And it was funny. Same thing at my gym. Like same thing I tell people for like doing deadlifts, and if you know whatever's gonna be a big difference in their weights. I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. The weights come on and off, you know. Anyway, and he was the one telling me that. He's like, "Oh man, it's fine. Like we'll just change the weight." I'm like, "All right, dude." And the same Morgan King, she was Olympian in 2016, and it was just like same deal. Like we met at national championships, and I was competing at nationals, and just kind of stayed in touch, and like she's a really good friend of ours, you know. And I guess really it comes down to like, so these athletes that are like pretty high level athletes, right? We're talking about Olympians in weightlifting or multiple times games competitors in CrossFit or even podium placers and that sort of thing. Like, how do we do that, or how do we have that? It really just comes down to like really being a part of the community. Like, we're out at these things. We're, again, competing at nationals, or just being around nationals, or being around top teams, you know, in the nation, and being at local events and meeting people. And it really comes down to like just being a part of the community, and we're not just trying to shove things down at people and throw money at athletes. We're actually trying to be a part of this thing and be friends with people.
It's like genuine grassroots. Like,
yeah, I think you don't give yourself enough credit for one part, whereas like from other things I've listened to, you're not just part of the community, but you really invest in people, and not just the big names. Like, if I remember correctly, and you can go into more detail with this, you had a program, like an after-school program that you were investing in, where you're helping kids with their schoolwork and then helping them lift afterwards, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've done some different things like that. What we've done a lot of is like, okay, here's an example, like COVID shit. When everything first happened and everything's shut down and people aren't sure and all these restaurants are closed, and so you got all these people that are like bartenders or waiters, whatever. They're like, how are they going to pay for their CrossFit membership, right? So like, okay, so we just came up with a specific shirt that said community on it, sold the shirts, and then 100% of the profits from it we paid for gym memberships, right?
Oh, that's cool.
So we had people apply, and then we paid for a full year of gym dues for a few people like that.
Awesome.
So there's quite a few things like that we do. So there was a after school program down in LA, run by Derek Johnson, who's a really good weightlifter. And it was the same thing. Like, I found out about this thing he was doing, and so we helped raise money for that too. Where they come after school and he'll train them in weightlifting and stuff, but not until they finish their homework. And so it's like the after school program, they have tutors, helps with their homework, and they teach them weightlifting, right? So we've done some different things. We've donated some money down there, and that type of thing we do relatively frequently. We try to do stuff like that. Wherever we see there's a fit or a need, and sometimes, honestly, like one time didn't really have much to do with. Normally, we always look for things. There's a workout slant, right? Like we want people to understand like living a healthy, active lifestyle and the importance of that. But even in Elk Grove, the town we're in, it's right by Sacramento. One of this girl, Kristen, who works with us, her friend's a teacher, and she's like, man, like at school, these kids, like they got to bring water bottles from home, whatever, something about the water fountains. And she's like, but some of these kids like don't have like a reusable water bottle. And she's like, oh, you got 30 kids in your class, like here, right? And we just like donated all these Caffeine and Kilos water bottles to her. It's like, there you go, now your kids got reusable bottles, right? So anyway, it's just kind of like, being in the community and then just looking like where's there a need and just trying to help out, right? What can we do to kind of help out?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I will say, so I work in a school as well, and we have lead pipes. So we cannot, there's like all the signs, not potable water. So that is like very cool. And it's cool that you guys see those needs within the community and actually work to meet them versus like, I think a lot of companies, especially you went from like this small company and you're not small. Like I did CrossFit for like 3 months and I knew who you were. And I didn't have a CrossFit background, right? Like, and that was in 2017. That's not even now. And like, I coached the 6 a.m. class today. And like, I think there were 2 different people with Caffeine and Kilos t-shirts on.
Yeah!
And I actually went to both of them. And I was like, do you get the coffee though? And actually both of them were like, yes. And I told them about the podcast.
Yeah, hell yeah.
They're like, ooh, we will listen to that. But I think a lot of companies end up doing things for like clout. You know what I mean? Like we're up here and we've made it and we're a name, but you guys have really stuck to doing things for your community. And like, I didn't know about the water bottles thing, but it's like very cool to know that. And to see that you guys are taking your stake in the community, and not just using it for yourself, but you're really just giving it back, which is awesome. And you should definitely order more coffee from them, guys. If you don't already, because they're buying kids water bottles, and I don't know how you don't align with that.
Yeah, like I got kids, you know what I mean?
You're like, I don't know, I like them. They're all right.
Yeah, I've got 2 of them, yeah.
But
I think we have daughters around the same age. Mine just turned 8.
Yep. Yes, I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, my boy, he's 5.
Okay, yeah, right there, man. Yeah, and so actually, I used to teach. So I taught PE. I taught high school PE for 8 years,
Cool.
and so anyway. That's most of my formal education is in PE, and then education. And so anyway, that's something that I definitely pay attention to, and it's something I'm pretty well versed in, kind of how the school system works and everything. So happy to help out with that type of stuff when I can.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, when I was looking up and listening to you on other podcasts and stuff, eventually I was like, he's putting barbells in kids' hands. I'm buying the fucking coffee.
Yeah, I'm trying to, man. Trying to. Yeah. Yeah, and that's some other stuff too we've done, like local high school. They're like, hey, like teaching their football team. Hey, can you just come out here and just like teach my weight room classes? Like, can you do like a little snatch clean and jerk clinic with with my body conditioning classes? I was like, yeah, man, sounds good. Let's go. And so I'll pop out there and spend the day doing that, right? Just running through 6 groups of kids, teach them how to snatch. Anyway, so yeah, I like doing that stuff. It's fun.
It is. So like we both, me and Ashley both coach at our affiliate Revival Fitness, and like teaching someone, I do the fundamentals a lot, and teaching someone to clean and jerk and snatch for the first time is like one of my favorite parts of the fundamentals, like on ramp part. They're usually terrified, but I'm always like, it's snatch day. I'm so excited.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and I mean, from doing it so much, like there's definitely ways to make it easier, right? Or to teach it better. And part of that, again, like, so I was in this situation where Caffeine and Kilos definitely helped with this. But so I've been coached in weightlifting by a lot of really good weightlifting coaches, right? When I first started training at Cal Strength, Glenn Penlay was the coach there. So that was a lot of fun. And then when Glenn left, then Dave Spitz, who owns Cal Strength, he's the head coach there still. He took over coaching, and now he's coached, West of the Olympics. And both these guys have put multiple people on the world teams and Pan Am teams and now the Olympics and things. They've definitely coached at the highest level. And then through Caffeine and Kilos, we had this idea one time. We're like, hey, let's go around to these different weightlifting teams and get coached by their coaches. Like, what's it like? Like, how different do they coach things, right? Because everyone online has an opinion, like, oh, this coach teaches this and that guy teaches that, and this one's right and that one's wrong, and Bergner this, and whatever, Waxman that, or Penlay, whatever the hell they want to say. And I'm like, all right, well, why don't I just go actually like get coached by these people, and then I'll tell you what the difference is between like how Bergner teaches something, or how Sean Waxman teaches something, or Ursula Papandrea teaches something. Like, I'll just go find out. Or like, and then also,
I like trying to make that sound so easy. I'm just gonna find out. Like,
yeah,
let's do
like,
that.
why don't you just call them, send them a text, And so at the time it was fun. So Flow Sports, right? Like Flow Elite, they would do the videos. And so this guy Armin Hammer, he was working for Flow at the time. He's a friend of ours. So I just kind of pitched him. We're like, hey, Armin, here's the deal. Like, I want to go to these coaches, and I'm just going to like tell them like I'm your athlete for the next 5 days. Like, just treat me like I'm any other asshole on your team, and let me lift for you. And then like Flow's going to film it, and they'll make like little mini documentaries about like being on these guys' team, and like learn from it, and we'll promote them obviously. And it gives Flow needs content. So there you get some content. We're promoting the coach, and we can kind of share the content with Caffeine and Kilos, and it's like, it'll be good for everybody. And they thought they liked it. They liked the idea. And so that's what we did. So we went around, and a couple days at Cal Strength, I was kind of cheating because I've been out there so much, but Armin never had. So we got to capture that a little bit. We went down to LA for Sean Waxman, to the Waxman's gym. At the time, he had a girl that just won nationals. And so, he kind of had some success with athletes. So did under him. Went out to Texas, Ursula Papandrea. She was the highest ranking female coach in the U.S. She's actually like the IWF, the International Weightlifting Federation. She was acting president for a while, not too long ago, right? Like, this woman knows weightlifting as good as anybody in the country, essentially, Anyway, so we went around and trained under all these different coaches, and then also 2012 Olympic gold medalist out of the Ukraine, Alexei Tarakty, and his coach Sergey Putsov. They came out to Cal Strength for a little bit before, because they're going to go to the CrossFit Games, And anyway, they didn't have a place to stay in LA. We had this Airbnb house rented for everyone that was with us. They just stayed with us. And so we spent a week with, and the Olympic gold medalist and his coach. And so there's lots of times where I'd be like, all right, like teach me how to do stuff, like teach me how to lift, and they were into it. So, there's a lot of experience, and it's funny, all those things. And again, Coach Mike Bernard's a friend of mine, and all this, and I found, and actually, when I first started weightlifting, I went and did a couple personal training sessions with Greg Everett, that whole thing. So I knew everyone teaches the same shit. It's all the
same object.
Yeah, and everyone likes to say it's like this that you brush the bar in your thighs, is the brush or the bang, and is it the whatever. It's like, dude, you can call it what you want, but like when you're lifting for them and they're fixing your technique, they're all teaching the same thing, man.
I do genuinely think somebody hears like a cue that happens to work for them, and then
100%
are just like, well, this is the only way.
That's the only way, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. That was like a good social experiment. I like that.
Actually, we so from part of that, I did this thing. Oh, also, while we're just like dropping names, whatever, it's like Brute Barbell, right? Like Matt Bruce and Brute Strength. Mm-hmm. Like Matt's a friend of mine, and we're out there in Louisiana, and like did some working with him and stuff too. And anyways, that was Hack from like Hatch Squat program, whatever. It's like Coach Gail Hatch. Like Matt took us out and introduced us to Gail Hatch, and he put us through he trained us for a day, right? And so it's like all these people. Yeah, and they all teach the same thing. And so anyway, we actually on Caffeine and Kilos, we have a course. It's like the only course we have, and it's like a how to lift weightlifting course, whatever. And anyway, I'll give it for free if somebody wants it. So if anybody listens to that, if they want it, you just email me. Just email Danny at caffeineandkilos.com, and I'll send you a code so you can go get the weightlifting course for free.
All right, so when you see Ashley Marola drop into your email, that is definitely not me.
Yep, no problem. So, awesome. Well, again, one more thing about that is like with Cal Strength, does all these seminars and all this stuff. And so anyway, so traveling around doing, like, I've watched the way they coach weightlifting so many times. And so when Caffeine and Kilos was first starting, one thing we did is we got an RV and we did it was like a tour, like a concert tour kind of. We started in Pennsylvania, and then we actually went all the way up to New Jersey, and then down the coast through Virginia and into South Carolina, and then went across through Georgia and into Mississippi. And we taught a weightlifting clinic every night at a different gym in a different state along the way for like 7 days in a row. So we would just drive the RV all day, pull up in front of this gym, go in, coach this weightlifting clinic, and then sleep in the RV and drive the next day on to the next place. And it almost put us down. We barely made it out alive, but dude, it was a lot of fun coaching those weightlifting clinics every night.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's.
And you weren't even invited, right? You were just showing up.
Showing up.
Excuse me, guys.
Yeah, no, it was all planned out ahead of time, but I didn't know like any of the gyms we were at. I knew one person. Like we ended at Ole Miss because we knew some of those there, and the strength coaches were like Caffeine and Kilos, whatever. And so we ended at Ole Miss, and we were in the weight room with the football strength conditioning coaches, like doing cleans and snatch with those guys. Anyway, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
As I was like listening to stuff, I did have a question that might shift gears a little bit, but I wanted to know if you've gotten your kids into training. I know they're like little ones, but I've just started getting my daughter into training, so I was wondering if you are in a similar path.
Not yes, but also no, right? And what I mean by that is I do not make my kids go out in the garage with me and do a CrossFit workout every single day. We have a kids class in my gym, and my oldest, my 9-year-old, she goes like once a week. And actually right now, I don't think she's gone in a couple months because she's had other things going on, whatever. But that's really it, dude. But here's what I said by yes, even though she does the kids class once a week. is both of them, when they started, they do gymnastics once a week, right? Not competitive. They just go and do gymnastics once a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they allow them to start at 18 months old in like I call it pops and tots because I took them, right? And I started both my kids at 18 months old, right? I think my youngest one might have been, she was a little bit slower, like just like developing and stuff. Like just, that's like, my oldest one's crazy. Like she like run around, bounce off the walls. My younger one actually, I think, walked a little bit earlier, but she like couldn't really jump or didn't run very fast, whatever, when she was younger. Anyway, so she might have been 20 months old, so she's way behind, right? Like way those 2 months. Anyway, so they started in gymnastics when they were 18 months old, and which means I started doing gymnastics when they're, because you have to be in there with them till they're 3. So I put in, and so between the two of them, I put 3 years in those pops and tops gymnastics classes, dude. Anyway, so they're still doing it now. Like both of them are still in once a week in gymnastics. And then other than that, I also, we put them in every rec sport that's offered around here, and they don't have to do them forever. But like, if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. But like my oldest, like she didn't really care about t-ball. Like she doesn't want to play softball. No worries, but she loves soccer, so she's still playing soccer, right? My youngest, same thing, loves doing soccer. She's doing that. They, whatever, we put them in like, swim lessons and shit, like just all kinds of, put them in tennis lessons. Like I'm trying to get these kids to do it all, try it all. And then they're going to find the things they like or not, but they're definitely active, right? And they're doing different activities. We go stay in a cabin. One day we go hiking, right? Go on like a little hike around the lake, like little things like that. So I think that there's this misconception that also, so wrestling was my best sport in high school. I've not put these girls on wrestling teams, even though my older one has asked a few times. But the thing is, I'm not against it. It just like, anyway, it's a longer story. But like they want to do that all the time. Like a couple nights a week, they're like, can we wrestle? Like they just want to get it on, like they're ready for it, Anyway,
as a dad with the ones the same age, I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes you're just like, not tonight.
All right, yeah. So it's funny to like take their shirts off, throw them on the floor. They're like, we're getting serious. I'm like, oh shit, they're getting serious. That's so funny. So what, the question is, have I got them into training? The answer is no. I'm not putting barbells in their hands without their consent or whatever, right? They want to go to the kids class. Hell yeah, let's go, right? But like, I'm not forcing that right now. But I put them in gymnastics as soon as possible. I'm exposing them to different sports as much as I can. I actually taught them their colors by carrying weight plates. Like they've been training not knowing it, right? Like, oh, go give me the blue one, and they're like, bring the blue one, and like, all right, now go give me the red one. It's like half a kilo heavier. They're carrying over the red one, and I'd set them up and things like that. Or at the gym, I'd set up like little, almost like strongman stones, like set the med balls, and they have to like go pick them up and carry them. But they love it, like all just games,
Yeah.
But they are, my 9-year-old, she's getting to the age now to where, like if she wants to do more, if she wants to kind of get after it more, like I would encourage that. Like she's old enough now, like if she wanted to actually like get a bar in her hand and start like learning snatch and clean and jerk, like 100%, I would support that,
Yeah, we started.
But I'm not going to force it. I want her to work out because she likes it.
Yeah, we started with my 8-year-old, but that's because she asked. She was like, yep. I want to do it, and I was like, all right. And like I'm actually like pulling the reins back on her because she wants to do so much more,
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we'll just ease you into this. Like when she first told us that she wanted to do it, she's like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then she's like, and I want to do that thing with the bar where you throw it overhead. And I was like, yeah, that's a snatch.
Yeah, you do.
We'll get there. And so I ended up getting her like a 5-pound bar.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And I kind of did the same thing you did, where like I was breaking down movements, like, yeah. And she didn't realize that she was building the foundation. Like she's doing a lot of high pulls, and she's like, why? She's like just happy to be doing anything, but she doesn't know why I'm like making her high pull things. And it's been a lot of fun, and she's very competitive. And if I ask her if she wants to go and she doesn't want to go, I just say, all right, well, we can do it later.
I think the most important thing for them, and also they know it's what we do. Like they know it's a part of our lifestyle. Like my wife goes to the gym every morning, right? Like now they're both in school, so like drop them off in school and go. But they know like she can drop them off at school and go to the gym. They know that on during the summer it's like they go down and hang out in childcare at the gym while she's working out, right? Like their entire lives, both of them, their entire lives, like my wife and I both work out multiple times a week, right? Like pretty much if we don't have something else going on that day, if she didn't work, whatever, like going to the gym, right? And that's saying no, that's just like what people do. And I think that's really powerful. But for me, it's most important that they know that they're capable, right?
Right.
And so that's a big thing. It's like little shit, like groceries. You know what I mean? It's like we go and we're getting this gallon jug of water, and I'm like, all right, hey, carry this, and give it to my 5-year-old. She's like, oh yeah, I got it, And it's like that thing, she carried that thing to the whole store, and like after we check out, she's like, can I carry the water again? Like to the car? I'm like, hell yeah, you can. Dude, you want to? Like, and same thing. I think people hold their kids back, like they jump off of something, and instead of being like, oh, careful, honey, it's like, oh, nice, like, hey, can you go off the next one up? Like that's what I want to see, right? Like they're not going to kill themselves, like jumping off, like like people. There's a reason why people are scared of things. There's some fear. So I would always, I would always encourage them to kind of like take it one step further. Can you go off this one a little bit higher? Oh, nice. Oh, can you go off one? Can you think you can do one more up, right? Within reason, obviously.
Yeah.
But usually, if you keep pushing them to do that, they're going to say no before it's like ridiculously. I'd say most of the time, right?
And it's a very cool thing, and especially like as somebody who got into, I was 24, like when I started doing CrossFit. I came from I'm very much like a background, like you're going to find a man to support you sort of a thing. And I remember I walked into a CrossFit gym and I saw these like strong ass women lifting heavy bar. And I was like, I didn't know women could do that. Like I was so unaware. And my first job was in inpatient, and I like couldn't scoop patients up in bed. I'd always have to go find them. And I would always think like, I got to go find the male nurse to like help me because one of the females can't do it. And when I saw what these women could do, I was truly mind blown, and it like has changed. It's so dramatic, but it has like changed my life. So instilling that like in kids from such a young age that like it's okay. And I think it does happen with boys too, but like with girls, there is so much like kid gloves about being physical and using your body and having strength. And my biggest joke when somebody might be like, oh, your traps are getting big, or oh, you're muscular, and it's like, well, I'm sorry you've only ever seen underdeveloped women before. But you have these too. They're just smaller. That's all. But even the physical is whatever compared to the mental, that different mentality that you can have, and instilling that from a young age. I think that's where things like sports kind of come into play, and are truly like can change the scope of a child's life.
Oh, for sure. And it's funny. It's like you go down to the gym you go to 8:30 or 9:30 a.m. class, and you're going to see a class full of mostly women who can squat 200 pounds and can do rope climbs and can do kipping pull-ups and are in their mid 30s with 2 kids and have abs, right? And I'm not talking like ripped like games athletes, but just like legit the best shape of their life, And it's this whole thing. It's like it's crazy how it keeps happening. Like we have all these women who are in better shape now than they were before they had kids, right? And it's because they're down there at the gym, and it's like it's a break, right? Like you drop the kids off of school and you go to the gym, and it's like this like stress relief and this thing, and they feel strong and they feel capable, and they're doing this thing. It's like we had this lady the other day. It's like when I was teaching, she was a counselor at the school I taught at actually, and she'd always like exercised, like running and shit. And then she's been going to the gym recently, and she pulled me aside the other day. She's like, Danny, like, I've been like thin before, but like I would have never thought I'd be 6 years old and have abs. And I was like,
that's right.
I was like, yeah, Lori, pretty cool, huh? And she's like, and then like the next day, she's like, Danny, I climbed the rope. I'm like, yeah, Lori, I saw you. You did it like 4 times, It's like, what the hell? Like, who starts climbing ropes when they're 60 years old? I was like, you do, Lori. That's who. Like, oh, yeah, And it's like that's the thing. Like, that's what you're doing you're doing this thing for people that like they have no clue how capable they are. They have no clue what they're capable of doing because, either their whole life they've thought that they're not good enough or strong enough or whatever, or someone told them that, or they just have that impression based on what they saw or witnessed or whatever, It's like, nah, man, like, the human body's wild.
That's the next tagline: capable and caffeinated.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is like pushing the members to like a level where they're uncomfortable, but you know that they're ready and they just don't know yet.
Yep.
And then watching that light bulb go off, that's the best.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, it's great. Yep. That's one of my favorite things. My second favorite thing, though, is to do a partner workout with them and go way faster than you should, just so they have no rest, and you just wingding them.
I'm going to say I haven't done that to Malcolm.
You should. It's a lot of fun. Watch them crash and burn.
Oh, that's evil.
It's, you don't do that to everybody, but you got like whatever. There's a they can take it. It's like
the rep shaver. You find the rep shaver.
Yeah,
hey, bud, let's partner up.
It's like when your buddies down there, and like they're having a good time. They've been getting after it, and you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna see if I can do this to him today. I've also tried it and had a backfire, right? Like they were able to keep up, and I was the one that got winged.
Oh no, this has gone awry.
Mistakes were made.
Then it's funny, I was like, man, when I came up with this plan, never once had I considered the fact that I'm the asshole.
Oh no, you're fit.
Oh, I'm gonna get him so good, and I was like, oh boy. Earlier you mentioned the rep shavers. That's interesting. Do you guys care? Do you get upset at people?
No. I mean, you notice it. I think I get like, how do I put it correctly? When they act like they're like pulling the wool over someone's eyes and they're making posts, that I'm like, you're not gonna get any fitter, right?
Right. Yeah.
But just like in general, if someone's not doing all the reps, that's just scaling, right?
Yeah.
We got this one guy, and he's
don't worry, we've all got that one guy.
Yeah. No, he's in his 50s, and he was doing the workout with me, and I forgot what he said. He's like, oh, I was like, oh man, you like flew, and he's like, well, I cheated, and I was like, you didn't cheat, dude. You just scaled it appropriately.
Yeah. Giving reps if you admit to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me because I know they're cutting off their nose to spite their face, right? Like it's your half reps of everything that you're doing that aren't good anyway, like isn't making you better except on, Wodify. It is like, I guess if it's somebody who is particularly competitive and is doing it,
right,
or they're, holier than thou, I'm like, I'll have a moment and I will check myself and I'll be like, it is a CrossFit class at my local gym and I am not getting paid to compete right now.
Yeah.
But so overall, not really, unless it's somebody who will be like, oh, I saw your score. And I'm like, yeah, well, I saw your reps. So
yeah, all the reps. Yeah. It's funny. I wouldn't get like mad, but I'd kind of be like, oh man. Then I just realized one day, I was like, you know what? This is funny. Like, it's not about me. Like, it's not about anybody. Like, it's about them. Like, they are obviously struggling with something. Like, if they are lying about their score or shaving reps to try and beat somebody or putting a score down that's like whatever, like, that's not about anybody else. Because like I know someone who gets upset. They're like, oh, they put it down so they like have a better score than me. I'm like, yeah, like that really bother you? Like they didn't do that because of you. Trust me, it has nothing to do with you. Right? Like it's like,
you're not that
yeah, like they feel like they're inadequate or they feel like, like they're not good enough or they need to do something. Like it's for themselves. Like once I realized that, I'm like, oh, it's got nothing to do with me. It's like when you're teaching, right, or whatever, and there's a kid and they're like misbehaving. Right. It's like, well, they're not giving you a hard time. Like they're having a hard time. Right. And once you kind of like realize that and you're like, oh shit, that's true. And then so that's how I feel about like rep shavers too. I'm like, nah, dude, they're not trying to get something over on you. Like they're trying to get something over on themselves, man. Like they're struggling, and this is, you know, and like
they're getting their boost, their feel good.
Yeah, so like whatever, man. Like do your
not
thing.
The games doesn't matter.
one really funny story though is there's workout and there's like sit-ups and running, and it was my business partner in the gym at the time, and his guy's in this sit-up supposed to like 30, and he did like 23 or some shit, and he got up and ran out the door like way before everybody else, and the guy Nick's like, man, I got up like way early. Next time he comes in, he's like stands next to him like counting his reps, and the guy goes to get up at like 22, and he's like, hey, that was 22, it's supposed to be 30. The guy's like, what? Are you serious? He's like, yeah, man. So the guy like goes down and does like 6 more and then gets up to run away. And Nick's like, hey, it's like 28. You gotta get to 30. He's like, what? No. Nick's like, you think I can't count to 30?
Did he get chips though? I mean, he might need chips for that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a little different because this person's like lying to your face, whatever. But anyway, it's kind of funny how
him issue.
that's 100% a him issue, right? Like,
well, thank you for coming on, Danny. This has been fantastic. You are an incredible guest. It is very nice because you are a conversationalist, and that is appreciated. If you have any plugs, any last minute things you'd like to say before I have to go crush a bowl of food after this.
Nice. I'm from California when you said I have to go crush a bowl, but I didn't know if you were going to say food or if there's fire lighters involved. Make sure you're following Caffeine and Kilos at Caffeine and Kilos, all spelled out on Instagram. I'm Danny Lehr. That's Danny_Lehr, Lehr. The coffee of the month, man. If you're wondering, like, what should you say, you've never bought anything from Caffeine and Kilos and you don't know what to get. Coffee of the month is super rad because every month it's a different blend from all over the world, and they're different roasts, different blends. And they also different flavor profiles, and all of the coffees we get, they're all organic and sustainably farmed, right? And so it's cool, you're like helping out a small farm somewhere. The coffee's good quality coffee, all that's great. So people really like the different, and we kind of name them based on what the flavor profiles are, and so you kind of get to learn like what flavors to look for in coffee, so you kind of almost get like a tasting notes with it. So that's a lot of fun. That, and then most popular shirt we sell is the first shirt we ever sold, which is just Arch logo tee. So grab an Arch logo tee, get some coffee of the month, it'll be set.
You'll go to the CrossFit Games next year if you guys do that.
Go to the CrossFit Games. And if you want to learn how to lift weights, just email me, Danny@caffeineandkilos.com, and I'll send you a code for a free weightlifting course.
That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Danny. Just I'll end on this note is I was like real intimidated when you dropped in. I was like, dude, it's like a small local gym. A podcast is pretty much just going out to those guys. Right afterwards, when I started like listening to all the podcasts, you said something that is just really a good reflection of you and the company, and I just want to highlight that. And you said it was on the Living Fit show. You're like, I just want to talk to people. I'm not looking to get anything out of it.
Yeah, man.
And so I want to thank you for having that attitude. Thank you for talking to us, and I know everyone that does listen appreciates it.
Yeah. So. Also, if you like podcasts, we have a podcast called Gas Station Cappuccino, and it's a lot of fun. We talk about fitness stuff, but it's pretty loose like this, and we have some guests on, and my whole goal with our guests is to be the interview that no one else has done with them, right? So I like to have conversations and talk about things that are going on. I like to ask them things that I think other people are afraid to ask them, and not like aggressive, like whatever, but just like whatever. We'll talk about their kids and stuff, whatever. Cool. So anyway, we've had on Jason Khalifa and Dr. Andy Galpin and a lot of like pretty big names that are a lot of fun. So yeah, check out Gas Station Cappuccino.
Oh, definitely will. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. All right, you guys. Thanks for having me. I had a good time.
Yeah,
us too.
Are you guys going out to the games?
Not.
I'm using up all my vacation next week, so I'm done for the year.
All right, I won't see you there then.
I might see you. You just won't see me. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be on TV somewhere.
Yeah, have a good time. Funny thing is, I knew 2 people that were going, and I made a joke that I was going to see them in the stands, and then I actually did, and I had to like screenshot it and send it to them. I was like,
Oh,
"Are you in
yeah.
the stands right now?" I was like, "I found you."
Yeah, it was really good.
But all right, you have a good night, Danny. Thanks again.
All right, guys. You too. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks, Danny. Bye.